Prince William and Kate Middleton's little girl is all grown up. Princess Charlotte, the only daughter of the Prince and Princess of Wales, turns 10 years old on May 2nd.
The gilded corridors of Kensington Palace have never felt so empty. As Princess Charlotte Elizabeth Diana, the 10-year-old daughter of the Prince and Princess of Wales, reportedly prepared to say what palace insiders are calling a devastating goodbye.
She was quite known for her feisty personality.
Feeling that we got when they came out with the baby, we couldn't miss it again. We couldn't miss this one.
To the only life she's ever known, longtime royal staff members were seen wiping away tears and consoling one another in scenes described as heartbreaking by those who witnessed them.
It's been obviously fantastic, and she's been a little joy of heaven, but at the same time it is a more responsibility.
This isn't just another royal drama playing out in the tabloids. According to multiple sources close to the Wales family, something profound has shifted within the carefully orchestrated world of Britain's most prominent royal children, and Princess Charlotte sits at the center of a decision that has left the palace reeling. The girl who would be different. Princess Charlotte has always occupied a unique position within the royal hierarchy. Born on May 2, 2015, she is fourth in line to the throne, positioned between her elder brother Prince George and younger brother Prince Louis. But unlike George, who carries the weight of future kingship, and Louis, who enjoys the relative freedom of being a spare to the spare, Charlotte has existed in a peculiar middle ground, one that has shaped her in unexpected ways. Royal biographer Angela Levin revealed in a recent interview that Charlotte has demonstrated an independent streak from an early age. She's not like the other royal children we've seen in recent generations, Levin noted. There's a steeliness to her, a determination that reminds many palace watchers of Princess Anne in her youth. Staff members who have worked closely with the Wales children paint a picture of a little girl caught between two worlds. One longtime nanny, speaking on condition of anonymity, described Charlotte as acutely aware of the cameras, the protocols, the expectations, in a way that seemed to weigh heavily on someone so young. She would ask questions that would break your heart, the source revealed. Questions like, why can't I just be Charlotte? Or, do I have to wave at people I don't know forever? These weren't tantrums or complaints. They were genuine questions from a child trying to understand her place in a very complicated world. The breaking point. The catalyst for what insiders are calling Charlotte's goodbye appears to have been building for months, possibly years. According to sources within the palace, the young princess has become increasingly resistant to royal duties and the relentless public scrutiny that comes with her position. The situation allegedly came to a head during a private family meeting at Adelaide Cottage in Windsor last month. Palace staff reported unusual activity, extended private time with no official engagements, visits from child psychologists and family counselors, and what one source described as the most serious family discussions the Wales household has seen since the late Queen's passing. Princess Catherine was in tears for days, claimed a source close to the family. Prince William was pacing the gardens at odd hours. Something was clearly very wrong, and the children were at the center of it. What emerged from these closed-door meetings was apparently a stunning request from Princess Charlotte herself. She wanted out of royal life, or at least a dramatic reduction in her public role. For a 10-year-old to articulate such a desire, and for her parents to take it seriously enough to consider major changes, speaks to the severity of the situation. The impact on royal staff. The human toll of this unfolding drama has been most visible among the palace staff who have devoted their careers to serving the royal family. Many of these individuals have worked for the Windsors for decades, having served multiple generations, and they view the children not just as their royal charges, but as part of an extended family. Mrs. Margaret Henderson, who served as a senior household manager at Kensington Palace for over 20 years before her recent retirement, spoke carefully about the emotional atmosphere. These children are loved beyond measure by everyone who works with them, she said. When you see them struggling, When you see them questioning their existence in this extraordinary but constraining world, it affects everyone deeply. Multiple staff members have reportedly requested time off or been granted compassionate leave as the situation has unfolded. The image of seasoned palace professionals, people who have maintained composure through scandals, deaths, and constitutional crises, breaking down in tears over a young girl's struggle, has struck many as the most human moment to emerge from the palace in years. One security officer, speaking anonymously to protect his position, described the scene when Charlotte allegedly said goodbye to some of the staff she's known since birth. She went around to each person, thanked them by name, and told them she loved them, but needed to find out who she was without all of this. He recounted, his voice catching. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. This child, this beautiful, intelligent little girl, was essentially saying she couldn't breathe in this life anymore. Catherine's impossible choice. Princess Catherine finds herself in perhaps the most difficult position of all. Having experienced her own adjustment to royal life, she understands both the privileges and the prison that comes with the position. Sources suggest she has been torn between her duty to the crown and her primary responsibility as a mother. Catherine has always been different from other royals in how she approaches parenting. Noted royal commentator Emily Nash, she's fought for her children to have normal experiences, normal friendships, normal childhoods within the very abnormal context of royal life. But there's only so much she can do within the constraints of the institution. The Princess of Wales has reportedly been the driving force behind whatever accommodation the family is working toward for Charlotte. Having survived her own period of intense public scrutiny, and having been open about her mental health advocacy, Catherine is said to be fiercely protective of her daughter's psychological well-being. Catherine told senior palace officials that she would choose her daughter over the institution if forced to make that choice, claimed an insider familiar with the discussions. That statement sent shockwaves through the establishment. It's essentially the same position Harry and Meghan took, but coming from the future queen consort, it carries different weight. The comparison to Harry and Meghan. It's impossible to discuss this situation without drawing parallels to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's departure from royal life in 2020. The echoes are undeniable. A royal family member expressing they cannot continue with the pressures of public life, concerns about mental health, and a family trying to navigate between personal well-being and institutional expectations. However, there are significant differences. Charlotte is a child, which changes the calculus entirely. She cannot simply move to California and forge a new path like her uncle and aunt did. Any decision about her future must be made by her parents within a framework that protects her both from the pressures of royal life and from the dangers of being a high-profile child outside palace protection. Royal historian Dr. Penelope Wilton suggests that Charlotte's situation may actually force the palace to confront issues that Harry's departure left unresolved. Harry was an adult who could articulate his grievances and make his own choices, however controversial, she explained. Charlotte is a child whose struggle highlights the fundamental question: what do we do when someone born into this system cannot thrive within it? Especially when that someone is too young to have chosen any of it? Some commentators have noted that William and Catherine may be learning from the mistakes made during Harry's crisis. Rather than dismissing concerns or trying to force conformity, they appear to be taking Charlotte's feelings seriously and working towards solutions that might prevent a complete rupture later in life. Charlotte's unshakable place in the modern monarchy. The story of Princess Charlotte is not only about a young girl growing up in the world's most watched family, but also about how centuries of royal tradition have bent and shifted around her presence. Few moments capture this better than the reforms that defined her status, beginning with the landmark Succession to the Crown Act of 2013. Signed into law by Queen Elizabeth II, this historic piece of legislation overturned the centuries-old practice of male primogeniture, the rule that once allowed younger brothers to overtake their elder sisters in the royal line. With a single stroke, the hierarchy that had stood for generations was dismantled. Charlotte became the first princess in British history to benefit directly from this reform. When her younger brother Prince Louis was born in 2018, she did not lose her position. She remained third in line to the throne, an unprecedented moment that underscored the monarchy's slow but undeniable shift toward equality. For the first time, a royal daughter's place was secure, untouched by the arrival of a younger brother. It was a quiet revolution within the House of Windsor, one that rewrote the rules of succession in Charlotte's favor. But the changes to her identity did not stop there. Queen Elizabeth II herself made another critical adjustment that safeguarded Charlotte's royal standing. In 1917, King George V had restricted the use of princely titles, allowing them only for children and grandchildren of the monarch through the male line, and for the eldest son of the Prince of Wales. Had those rules remained, neither Charlotte nor Louis would have carried the titles of princess or prince despite their father's position. By extending these privileges, the Queen ensured that Charlotte's status was not diminished, granting her the dignity of being addressed properly as a princess by birth. The seismic shift continued in 2022, following Queen Elizabeth II's death on September 8th. With her grandfather ascending the throne as King Charles III, Charlotte's titles evolved once more. She moved from being Princess Charlotte of Cambridge to Princess Charlotte of Wales, reflecting her father, Prince William's, new position as Prince of Wales, officially confirmed on September 9, 2022. Today, she carries the full title of Her Royal Highness Princess Charlotte of Wales, a distinction that firmly establishes her place in the royal order, separate from her mother Catherine, whose title as princess came through marriage rather than birth. The future holds even greater possibilities. Royal biographer Robert Jobson has suggested that Charlotte could one day inherit the title of Duchess of Edinburgh, currently held by Prince Edward, but destined to return to the crown. Yet, it is the title of Princess Royal that looms largest over her destiny. Traditionally reserved for the eldest daughter of the monarch, this role is one of the most senior and respected positions for a female royal. Since King Charles has no daughters, Charlotte is expected to inherit it either during his reign or under her father's kingship. The title carries immense prestige, signifying not only honor, but responsibility. Currently held by Princess Anne since 1987, the role has been a platform for tireless service and international representation. Should Charlotte inherit it, she would step into one of the monarchy's most demanding yet influential positions, marking her as a senior working royal of her generation. Charlotte's journey, through legal reforms, royal decrees, and evolving titles, represents more than the story of one child. It mirrors the transformation of the monarchy itself, a balancing act between centuries of tradition and the demands of a modern world. Her path from Princess of Cambridge to Princess of Wales reveals both the weight of history she carries and the promise of the role she is destined to shape. So what hidden truths lie behind Charlotte's shifting titles? Symbolic honor or calculated power play? And how might this reshape monarchy forever? Keep watching. Charlotte's journey through tradition and change. The Wales family didn't just move. They strategically relocated for a fresh start. On the surface, it looked like just another royal decision. But behind the scenes, the move to Windsor was filled with intention, emotion, and purpose. It wasn't sudden, neither was it random. It was a major life decision made by Prince William and Princess Kate, not just as royals, but as parents. Let's take a dive into what led to the sudden departure from Kensington Palace. One of the first major reasons behind the move was education. In September 2022, all 3 children were enrolled at Lambrook School, a prestigious but down-to-earth private institution in Windsor. It marked a big change from their previous life in London. Until then, Charlotte had attended Thomas's Battersea, a busy London school where both she and George were pupils. But Lambrook offered something different. more privacy, and more room to breathe. Set. A chance to breathe again. Another heartfelt reason behind the move? Queen Elizabeth II. At the time of their relocation in 2022, the Queen's health was declining, and so she was spending more time at Windsor Castle. And William wanted to be near her, not just as a grandson, but as a future king who cherished her wisdom. The Queen had always had a close relationship with William. She trusted him, she guided him, and he deeply respected her. Living nearby gave the family more chances to visit, more time with the Queen, more memories made before it was too late. It also gave the children a chance to spend more time with their great-grandmother. Charlotte especially had a fond relationship with the Queen. Sadly, she passed away later that year in September. But those final months spent nearby were priceless. This move also reflects something much bigger. It speaks to the kind of royals William and Kate are becoming. They are not chasing luxury. They are not seeking attention, but are leaning into simplicity, choosing purpose over pomp. They could have stayed in central London or chosen grander homes, but they chose relatability. Royal expert Katie Nicholl told Vanity Fair that the move is part of William and Kate's long-term plan to raise their children in a more grounded way, close to. It's not flashy. It's not oversized. It's calm, cozy, and most importantly, private. And best of all, it allows their children to grow without constant pressure. Charlotte can ride her bike without flashbulbs. George can kick a ball without whispers. Louis can laugh out loud without being quoted in the press. This move was about protecting their childhood. A source close to the family told the Times, "They want to be as normal a family as possible." And Windsor offered that. For the Wales family, it was a much-needed reaching cameras and constant attention. Every move was watched. Every moment could be snapped. And that gets exhausting, especially with growing kids. Unwatched. A family friend told the Sunday Times their kids were at an age where the public attention was becoming too much. Windsor offered them more breathing space. Their new home, Adelaide Cottage, sits inside the quiet grounds of Windsor Home Park. The Queen once remarked that Charlotte looked after her brothers like a little boss. Those quiet interactions, the shared glances, are now part of their most cherished memories. It gave William more access to her, not in public, but in private moments. A royal correspondent from Hello magazine shared, "William was always close to the Queen, and in her final year, he made every effort to be nearby." Nature and free from palace formality. The monarchy is evolving. The public no longer connects with unreachable figures. They connect with honesty, family, and values. And William and Kate are quietly redefining what it means to be royal parents. Charlotte is growing up in a home where kindness matters more than titles, where helping out, sharing chores, and looking after siblings is the norm, where dignity and humility walk hand in hand. Even interviews and candid moments reflect this shift. Kate once told a group of parents that they were just trying to do their best, like every other mom and dad. That is the message they are sending, not with words, but with choices. And Windsor is one of the biggest choices they've made so far. But what is life really like at their new home? Was it really what they expected? Keep watching to find out. Sitting on 52 acres of countryside, the school offers everything from pony rides to beekeeping, providing an environment that encourages not just academic growth, but emotionally and socially too. For William and Kate, this wasn't just about fancy facilities, it was about balance. They wanted their kids to run, play, and enjoy childhood, away from the noise of city life. And so, the move to Windsor began. A royal source once shared that they didn't want their kids to grow up behind palace walls. They wanted them to have room to play, fall down, and get back up again. And so Windsor made perfect sense. The second reason was for peace and privacy. Let's be honest, London life for a royal isn't easy. Living in London had its challenges. Kensington Palace, though iconic, became a spotlight. Paparazzi watched their every move. Even simple moments like school drop-offs were newsworthy. That was not the life William and Kate wanted for their children. They valued privacy. They wanted their home to feel safe, normal. While Kensington Palace was their official residence, it had slowly become a fishbowl. Every step outside the palace walls is followed by Charlotte's first test. When they arrived at the venue, Anne's stomach dropped. The stage setup was different. Things had been rearranged. Some of the photographers weren't the ones she had approved. The conspirators had made last-minute changes. They were trying to regain control. Then, it began. As Charlotte stepped onto the stage, Anne noticed immediately the lighting had been changed. Harsh shadows fell across Charlotte's face, making her look much smaller and more fragile. It was a subtle trick, designed to make her appear overwhelmed. But Charlotte didn't falter. She instinctively adjusted her posture, lifted her chin, and smiled brightly. Her natural charm cut through the shadows. Anne felt a surge of pride. This girl had no idea she was being targeted. And yet, she handled it like a true royal. The flower presentation was next, and thanks to Anne's careful planning, it went beautifully. Charlotte managed the heavy bouquets with ease, her sweet personality shining as she spoke to the other children. Some photographers looked disappointed. They weren't getting the embarrassing shots they had hoped for. Then came the speech. As Charlotte began to speak, the microphone problem appeared, just as Anne feared. Her voice came out sounding too thin, almost shaky. But within seconds, Anne's sound technician made the fix. The change was smooth. Most people didn't even notice. Charlotte's voice came through clear and strong. And then, the real test. The difficult words, the traps hidden in the speech. Charlotte took her time. She used the techniques Anne had taught her. She stayed calm. She didn't stumble. Instead of falling into the trap, she rose above it. Anne could see the conspirators watching from the sidelines, their faces darkening with frustration. Their plan was falling apart. Instead of humiliation, Charlotte was showing the world her strength, her grace, and her poise. By the time the event ended, Anne felt both relief and rage. Relief that Charlotte had made it through. Rage that anyone would try to hurt a child to make a point. Charlotte had shone like a true princess, graceful, brave, and unshaken. But Anne knew this wasn't the end. If these conspirators weren't stopped, they would try again. Maybe next time with another young royal. Anne had one last task: to make sure those who plotted this cruel attack would never get the chance to do it again. This wasn't just about Charlotte anymore. It was about protecting the future of the royal family and the innocent children who should never be used as pawns. And Anne, the ever-vigilant protector, was ready. The royal family now faces a choice: evolve to embrace Charlotte's needs, or risk losing not just one young princess but the moral authority that comes from valuing people over protocol. The world is watching, as it always does. But this time, the eyes that matter most are the ones filled with tears, belonging to those who love a little girl brave enough to ask for something better.